You're walking alone through a corridor of stars, each step lighting up constellations beneath your feet. Suddenly, the sky folds like a glass veil, and a second version of you appears behind the surface, watching, waiting, responding to something you still don't know how to name. There's a silent ache in this encounter. That feeling that you try to change your life, you try to ask, you try to manifest, but something always slips through your fingers because of an invisible detail, as if you were speaking a language the universe doesn't fully understand. Two paths open in front of you, one where everything flows and answers you, and another where everything stays trapped in the same cycles of almost, of lack, of endless repetition. And then the question appears. When reality responds to you, who is it actually answering? Your words or your vibration? There is a hidden principle behind all this, an ancient law that has crossed the ages and shapes what you receive before you even ask. Today, you're going to cross that portal with 5 steps that align attention, time, language, feeling, and repetition. And after this, the way you talk to the universe will never be the same again. Step 1. Use your attention where you want life to expand. A solitary lighthouse emerges in the fog, revealing only what its beam decides to touch. Your mind works the same way, an infinite space where everything remains invisible until your attention lights it up. Every ray you project onto the world defines what exists for you. And the ancient question rises again like an old wave. When you choose to look at something, what exactly are you creating? And what remains hidden simply because you never dared to illuminate it? Amit Goswami, a physicist of consciousness, suggests that the observer collapses possibilities into events, turning attention into an act of creation. Every focus, charged with emotion, works like a vibrational choice, narrowing infinite future timelines down into one concrete experience. It's as if your inner flashlight cut a slice out of reality and told the field, "This is what I want to live." Then the inevitable doubt appears. How many realities have you already solidified without realizing it? Carl Gustav Jung explains that our perception is filtered by inner images, archetypes and biases that shape the world long before we see it. These silent filters that delete, distort, and generalize decide what you recognize as truth. The inner garden blooms where you water it, and withers where you abandon it. With every emotion you repeat, another root goes deeper. So the question intensifies. Which part of your inner garden have you been unconsciously nurturing? The principle of mentalism states that the all is mind, the universe is mental, revealing that attention is the first stroke of creation. But nothing manifests through ideas alone. It's emotion that vibrates, pulses, and calls things in. The law of vibration teaches that everything moves, everything shifts, everything responds to your inner state. You're not sending words to the cosmos, you're sending frequencies. And every frequency calls back a compatible response. That's why two people in the exact same situation never live the same destiny. One sees threat, the other sees opportunity. One feeds fear, the other feeds expansion. And so their paths begin to split, not because the universe has favorites, but because the vibration you emit is the vibration that returns. Attention is the seed, emotion is the climate. Together, they decide the harvest. What harvest have you actually been preparing? The mechanisms of deleting, distorting, and generalizing try to protect the mind, but often end up imprisoning it. They delete blessings, distort signs, generalize old failures. When these guardians take over, you think you're seeing the world, but you're only seeing a conditioned reflection. Change the focus, and the landscape changes. Change the emotion, and the universe responds differently. Nothing is truly fixed. You are the one who fixes it in place. And the Hermetic reminder echoes. Nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. The Kybalion. Every thought vibrates. Every emotion reverberates. Every inner choice sends a silent command to the field. You're talking to the universe all the time, even when you think you're quiet. So the real question is not, does the universe hear me? But what have I been saying without noticing? Then the portal opens. What would happen if you treated your attention as a magical instrument? If every focus were an energetic vote? If every emotion were an invocation? If you shifted your lighthouse now, what new reality would start to be born? And what worlds would open up when you learn the movement that comes after attention? The movement that collapses possibilities into the now. Before we move on, by liking this video and subscribing, you teach the algorithm, this digital field, to deliver more content like this to you. You literally co-create your own hermetic path inside the virtual universe. Step 2. The now is the portal where reality is born. Picture a luminous spiral hanging in the dark. Every loop of that spiral is a possible future, vibrating as it waits for the moment you touch it with consciousness. At the center, the now pulses like a living star, while everything around it, past, projections, fears, and memories, spins like satellites that only gain shape when you decide to look. In that bright point of silence, a paradox reveals itself. It's not the future that decides the present. It's the present that chooses which future is even allowed to exist. Physicist Fritjof Capra showed that reality isn't static, but a dance of interconnections in which the observer is entangled with the very field they interpret. The now, then, is not an isolated instant. It's a vibrational decision point where countless potentials approach you and wait for your emotional signature. This is where collapse happens, not as magic, but as resonance. You become compatible with a possibility, and it drops from the field into form. Joseph Campbell described the human journey as a transformation of identity, where every choice in the present declares who you are and who you're willing to become. When you wear, on the inside, the version of yourself you want to manifest, you're not escaping reality. You're creating a vibrational identity. Your psyche learns to recognize this new state as a possible home. And like every hero in a myth, you realize that the next door only opens when you already behave as someone who belongs on the other side. The law of correspondence illuminates this mechanism. What you sustain within determines what you meet without. There is no fixed future waiting for you. There are mirrors. Every inner detail, image, sound, emotional texture works like a private rehearsal of the reality you want to inhabit. When you refine those inner details, you prepare the outer field to recognize your call. The future's not a map, it's a reflection. Imagine a hall of mirrors, where each mirror shows a different you that could exist. When you choose one and step into the posture of that reflection, the mirror responds. Your emotions start to synchronize, your senses expand, your decisions shift. Neuroplasticity records this new route, and what used to be a highly unlikely future begins to approach as a legitimate scenario. What you rehearse inside, you legitimize energetically. But there's a risk. Confusing vibrational rehearsal with escape. Escape is fantasy you imagine to avoid the pain of the present. Vibrational rehearsal is creation you imagine to invite the present to align with who you decide to be. The difference is subtle and decisive. Escape weakens you. Rehearsal strengthens you. Escape freezes you. Rehearsal orients you. Escape is a dream with no body. Rehearsal is a future with presence. This is where Hermeticism whispers one of its keys. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. The Kybalion. Inside the now, you can choose which pole you activate: fear or presence, expectation or creation, repetition or transmutation. The portal of the instant answers the pole you feed. Where you vibrate, you collapse. Where you hesitate, you postpone. So the second veil lifts with a question. If the now is the only point where futures become real, what are you doing with this moment? Which version of yourself are you wearing when no one is watching? Which future is gaining density every time you feel, think, and breathe? And if you shift your vibrational state right now, which timeline will start quietly bending in your direction? Step 3. Align the 3 levels of communication: self, others, and the field. Imagine a silent control room lit by 3 old panels. One pulsing inside your chest, one vibrating toward the people around you, and one expanding as a luminous field that surrounds everything. Each panel emits signals, words, intentions, and emotions, weaving an invisible architecture that shapes destiny. You realize there is no such thing as neutral speech. Every word is a seed. Every thought is a command. Every emotion is a signature that echoes far beyond what you can see. David Bohm, the physicist of the implicate order, showed that reality is an indivisible whole. Every part influences the whole, and the whole influences every part. From this view, communication is not just exchange, it's creative interference in the field. What you say inside yourself creates subtle curvatures in your experience. What you say to others sends waves that return in unexpected ways, and what you say to the field, consciously or not, reverberates as a tendency of reality. Viktor Frankl taught that human beings define themselves by the meanings they give their own stories. Inner dialogue is not just thinking. It's the ongoing construction of your place in the world. When you repeat, "I can't," "I'm not meant for this," "this is too hard," you're not describing reality, you're programming your identity. And life rearranges itself to match the identity you sustain. Intrapersonal communication is the secret script that events follow, even when you try to change them by force. In Hermeticism, the law of cause and effect reveals that nothing happens without a vibrational origin. Every word is a cause, every emotion is a cause, every intention, even silent, is a cause. The return is inevitable. The field doesn't judge or punish, it mirrors. If your inner communication is built on lack, the field responds with experiences that confirm that lack. If your external communication is conflictual, the field replicates conflict in other areas. The causes are yours, the effects, too. Picture 3 mirrors lined up. The first shows how you speak to yourself. The second shows how you speak to the world. The third shows how the universe answers. When the first mirror is cracked by self-criticism, the second distorts relationships, and the third returns confusion. But when the first is cleared, the other 2 adjust. Communication doesn't start on your lips, it starts in your vibration. The universe hears every inner tone before it hears any external word. And the Kybalion affirms this principle with precision. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Every sentence whispered in the silence of your mind sets invisible movements in motion. Every inner judgment opens a cycle. Every vibrational statement creates a response in the field. Nothing is random. Nothing is too small. Even the thought you have in the dark points the universe in a direction. So the question becomes, what causes have you been launching lately? Now, Look at the vocabulary you use every day, the way you describe your life, your work, your body, your path. Every word is a vibrational sigil telling the field who you believe you are. And the field, obedient, arranges circumstances to confirm that belief. Words are software. Emotions are fuel. Intentions are code. When you change your inner lexicon, your entire energetic architecture shifts with it. So, a deeper calling rises. What have you been saying to yourself when no one can hear? What stories do you repeat when you talk to others? What messages are you sending to the field through the emotions you keep feeding? If every word is a cause, and every cause returns, what effects are about to meet you around the next corner? And what realities would start to rewrite themselves if you discovered the voice that comes after language, the inner compass that separates fear from truth? Step 4. Listen to your divine spark, not your ego. Imagine a storm swirling around a small golden compass. The wind howls, the waves crash, your thoughts spin like whirlwinds, but the needle stays stubbornly locked on the same secret north. You begin to sense that inside you there is such an instrument, perfectly capable of cutting through noise, fear, and interference. Yet most of the time, the voice of the ego is so loud that you confuse storm with direction, anxiety with intuition, impulse with wisdom. Erwin Schrödinger, a physicist of consciousness, argued that the separation between subject and object is an illusion. In his view, there is one underlying mind expressing itself through many channels of perception. When you access your essence, calm, spacious, quiet, you touch that point of unity. The ego, however, conditioned by memories, comparisons, and old stories, sees only danger, threat, repetition. The ego reacts to the past. The essence responds to the field. James Hillman, the archetypal psychologist, taught that each person carries an inner daimon, a deep guiding presence that whispers the path of the soul. But this guide does not shout. It appears as lightness, expansion, a sense of, "This fits me." The ego, on the other hand, appears as tension, urgency, rigidity. Learning to distinguish these two voices is an art. Essence brings space. Ego brings contraction. Essence points to what's true. Ego tries to protect you from what it fears is inevitable. The law of polarity lights up this inner struggle. Every feeling has its opposite, and both are expressions of the same energy. Fear and trust are born from the same source. Contraction and expansion are movements of the same field. When you learn to observe the poles, you see that fear is not an enemy. It's simply the lower pole of an energy that, once raised, becomes discernment. Essence doesn't kill the ego. It transfigures it, lifting it to a higher expression. Picture yourself standing in front of two doors. One is narrow, dark, and seems to slam shut the moment you try to step through. The other is bright, quiet, and opens naturally when you take a slow breath. The ego always chooses the narrow door, because its logic is survival, not expansion. Essence chooses the luminous door, because its logic is alignment, not urgency. Your body feels the difference. One door tightens you, the other opens you. One hardens you, the other softens and widens you. The Kybalion confirms this energetic fluidity. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Every inner choice is a place on the vibrational scale between fear and expansion. You're never stuck. You're always sliding along that scale. When you decide to listen to essence, you don't erase fear. You reposition it. Fear stops driving and starts signaling. It stops being your guide and becomes just a messenger. The intelligence of the field responds directly to this distinction. When you choose from ego, the doors of the world feel heavy, slow, dense. When you choose from essence, synchronicities appear, paths line up, people show up at the right time. It's not magic, it's vibrational correspondence. The field recognizes when you're in inner coherence and rearranges circumstances to support that state. So a deep invitation appears. As you approach a decision, what tightens inside you and what expands? Which voice is speaking? The one that's terrified of losing, or the one that knows where you need to go? And if you started listening to your inner compass more than to the storm, what kind of life would begin to emerge? How would it feel to realize there is a rhythm, a flow, and an intelligence that always responds when you finally decide to hear it? Step 5. Repetition reprograms the subconscious. Have you ever seen an old path cutting through a dense forest? At first, there is almost no trail, only branches, leaves, and silence. But as you walk over the same spot again and again, the ground settles, the space opens, and a clear path begins to appear. That's exactly how the subconscious works. It doesn't respond to passing wishes, but to repeated steps, not to the excitement of the moment, but to the steady rhythm that gives shape to the invisible. Thomas Campbell, a physicist of consciousness and creator of the My Big Toe model, describes reality as an information system shaped by repeated intention. For him, the universe functions like an evolutionary system that records patterns, and the more often you repeat an inner pattern, the faster the field arranges circumstances that match it. Repetition, then, is not empty insistence. It's alignment with the reality you're willing to allow. Carl Gustav Jung observed that the psyche organizes itself through inner narratives that repeat until they become identity. Recurring thoughts carve trails, familiar emotions strengthen those trails, and behaviors become predictable soul paths. Neuroplasticity confirms this. The brain rewires according to what you practice, not according to what you wish for. Every inner mantra, spoken consciously or unconsciously, reshapes how you see the world and how the world responds to you. The law of rhythm reveals that everything moves in cycles, and repetition creates waves that grow stronger over time. Each inner statement is like a sculptor's strike on stone. One strike changes nothing. 100 begin to alter the form. 1,000 reveal a new image. Conscious repetition is that vibrational sculpture. You keep striking the old pattern until it yields, and the new one becomes stable. There is no luck here. There is rhythm. Now imagine a ritual drum echoing in the distance, setting the beat of your transformation. Every beat is a thought repeated with presence. Every beat is a feeling you choose with clarity. Every beat is a vibrational decision affirming, "This is what I allow." Your subconscious learns through that drumbeat. The universe responds to the rhythm you sustain. Micro-habits become steady magic. But there is a crucial difference between mechanical repetition and living repetition. Mechanical repetition is empty, automatic, weak. Living repetition is conscious, emotionally charged, aligned with your identity. When you repeat phrases like, "I'm cursed," "Nothing works out for me," "It's not for people like me," you do it with strong emotion, and the field responds quickly. When you try to affirm the opposite without presence, nothing moves. The repetition that transforms is the one that vibrates. That's why Hermeticism emphasizes, all things rise and fall, everything flows, all things have their tides. The Kybalion, each repetition raises a tide. every emotion strengthens the current. Every time you choose the same type of thought, you reinforce the wave that comes back to you as equivalent experiences. Nothing is wasted. Everything enters the great cycle of vibrational return. So the final calling appears. What words have you been repeating when you wake up? What feelings do you reinstall every day? Which narratives are you reinforcing without even noticing? If each repetition is a trail, a tide, and a cause, what reality are you accumulating right now? And if you decide today to repeat only what aligns with your essence, what new life would start tracing itself with every step you take? The final scene opens like a vast cosmic mirror. In it, you don't just see the face, you see every version you could have been, every reality you tried to call in, and every answer the universe has ever given you. Now, after these 5 movements, something becomes crystal clear. Talking to the universe was never about sending prayers upwards, but about shaping a dialogue inside you that inevitably echoes outward. Attention, the now, language, inner compass, and repetition merge into a single mechanism, a circuit of conscious creation that has always been active, even when you had no idea how to use it. You realize the universe was never out there. It has always been the return of your vibration, the rearrangement of your inner choices, the reflection of your state of consciousness. Every focus you held became a seed, every emotion, a climate, every word, a cause, every intuitive decision, a doorway, every repetition, a rhythm. That's why when you change your vibration, the world around you quietly rearranges its pieces. It's not a miracle, it's correspondence. It's Hermeticism in motion. Standing at this threshold, the first initiatory invitation appears. If what you received today opened your perception, like this video, not for the vanity of the channel, but because, by doing that, you teach the algorithm, this invisible field, to send you more content that expands your awareness. It's Hermetic practice applied. You vibrate, the digital field responds. In the same way, subscribing is a way of staying in the flow. It's telling the universe and the algorithm, I want to keep walking this path. There is an even deeper movement for those who feel the call. If these teachings truly touched you, consider becoming a member of this community. It's not just support, it's a vibrational alliance. The more you surround yourself with symbols, practices, and studies that elevate your inner state, the more the outer field reorganizes around you. Everything you consume feeds a specific line of reality, and this community exists precisely to sustain seekers walking at the same rhythm. And for those who are ready for the next step, the next portal opens through knowledge. The ebook, The Key to Prosperity, with a symbolic price compared to the transformation it offers, is available in the pinned comment. It dives deeper into what we explored here. How Hermetic laws and the psychology of consciousness weave together to generate prosperity not as luck, but as a vibrational state. Now, take a slow breath. What you learned today doesn't end here. There is a natural continuity, an expansion. The next video deepens and completes this teaching, like the next chamber in an initiatory temple. If this content resonated with you, you'll feel the call to keep going. Paths begin the moment they are recognized. So I leave you with the question that keeps vibrating long after everything goes silent. What language have you been sending to the universe all these years? And what new reality will begin to form the moment that language finally changes? Until our next initiatory encounter on the path of Hermetic wisdom.